Join Bev Lazar, spiritual mentor, Reiki master, psychic medium, with Shelley Greenlaw, doula, yogi, and intuitive energy healer. Two sisters walking the path of spirit to share their experience and advice in all things energy, intuition, and beyond. The Empath Sisters.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Empath Sisters. I'm Shelley.
Hey everyone, it's Bev here.
And we thought today we would talk about past lives and our perception, or I don't even know, experiences, I guess. Yeah, like on past lives.
On that topic.
Yeah, and kind of like in our, like not even just experiences, but like in our way of thinking of how it all works, like past lives, I guess, in a way, right? Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, some people don't believe in past lives.
Right. Yes.
Depending on where you're at, and it doesn't matter. It's you take what you take, and that's fine. I only know from my experience, my own experiences of my past lives that I've had, that have been recalled to me in this lifetime. And they're pretty connected. So
and it's pretty,
can't really deny it. So
and it's pretty cool because like I know in the past, like Bev and I have seen different people, or like seen readers or mediums and things like that. And we've done we've experimented quite a bit of things.
We've played out there a lot.
Yeah. So we have like, gone to certain different kind of like modalities or whatever that have, told us, I guess I shouldn't say told us, more or less, more like letting us, like what Bev said, recall past lives, go through things like that, or have had readings that, or things done that have told us, oh, I seen you in this era, or what have you. We've had pretty cool recalls. I'm like literally scanning all the
I was just thinking something that's kind of actually really funny.
Yeah.
It talks about what we're going to talk about, of course.
Yes.
That makes no sense, but it makes sense. It's just so funny to me. I feel like, okay, there's one thing that of my knowing about past lives and diving into past lives that I just want to put out there, is what I have learned in my knowing is that we aren't supposed to focus on diving into past lives.
Right.
We are supposed to focus on being in this lifetime. And a lot of times when we're really curious, and maybe because I would say if you're curious, I hope it's linked to something that you're experiencing in your life that you don't understand why you're experiencing this. This might, yes, be from a past life.
Right.
However, yes, some people are just really curious, and that's fine. And some really like dive down that rabbit hole. And so Spirit has always shared with me that we are to focus on this lifetime, unless it's for like a healing purpose. And what I want to say is, sometimes when we think that we want to like look into our past lives, that we always have this maybe preconception in our mind that it's just going to be magical.
Right.
Oh, I want to go back because I probably was this doctor, or I was like this, or I was like that. And it was probably just so amazing.
Right.
And I want to say that not all past lives are amazing.
Nope.
There's lots of terrible things that can happen. And if you believe in past lives and you coming here and experiencing, you're going to experience different things, and some things the same, but maybe in a different way, because you're going to learn from it.
Right.
But you still want to experience it. So what I want to say on that is, what I do know for myself in my lifetime, the way that I am and how I work is definitely something that I have learned from past lives that I am doing correctly in this lifetime. I know, I have a knowing that I have probably not been a great reader in a past life. I've probably told people stuff that I probably should have never told them. I probably lied to people. Maybe I just took people's money. I mean, maybe I didn't abide by spiritual law, all of those things. And so I do know in this lifetime, I abide by spiritual law and I work ethically, and I don't cross boundaries. I don't go seeking. I don't do any of those things. And I just have this knowing that this is what I'm supposed to do. And I do have this knowing that I'm clearing a lot of my karmic debt for that by doing the right thing in this lifetime and having that experience. And also being an energy worker and working with my hands, I also know that somewhere in a past life, I probably didn't do good things with my hands. And this lifetime, I am meant to do good things with my hands. From interpreting to my parents, to working on people, all the things. So for me, it's like, yeah, I've definitely been doing a lot of learning and can understand why I might be in this journey that I'm in. Right. Am I diving and seeking and looking for it? No, that for me is enough to know.
Exactly.
The reason why I'm sharing that is because it made me laugh about doing bad things with my hands. And it made me think about what I shared with you earlier, which I'd love to share on this podcast. But before I dive into that, I'll let you go ahead and say what you wanted to say.
I was just going to say that I highly agree with you. Even though, like, obviously we have different journeys, of course. But I feel the same way. I feel like, just from even having some recalls, that I know that I'm here as well to do the same kind of things. I have known as even a teenager. I remember thinking like, okay, and this might sound weird, but I honestly remember like when I became like I was a teen mom, so I became pregnant very young age, and I remember after I had her, my daughter, like I remember thinking I'm going to break the cycle of this, and I am not going, like, I really wanted to try really hard to break that cycle in our family of like
young
moms, yeah, because it felt like we always had that in our generation, it felt
right.
And so I just remember always wanting, like, it was just like a knowing, like I knew that I was here to break that cycle somehow, and
yeah,
I know I did. And I'm super happy about that. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, I know the same thing, like, and I resonate what you just said about using my hands, definitely probably did not do well with my hands before, and same thing, I was literally born to use my hands right away, right? I never even spoke. So, I know that for a fact, that I also am here to use my hands for good. And I know that. So I definitely resonate with that as well. So that's all I wanted to say was that. Yeah, I feel the same way.
And I can say also on that knowing of breaking cycles and patterns, and I'll tell you, like, almost every client that I have is in that place. They're here to break patterns and cycles, changing the ancestral lineage stuff, like all the karmic stuff, all of it.
Exactly.
And I have had a knowing since I was that I don't even know when I knew it, but I've always felt like I've just known it. And as a young child, it's like my view of our growing up, like in our childhood and everything. Even in my view, I remember even knowing in my knowing of like, yep, I won't have this.
That's right. Same.
My family won't be like this. My children won't experience this. And I don't know, call that a premonition or just a knowing. It's not like I saw it, so I don't feel it's a premonition. To me, I felt like it was just my knowing. It was like I could hear my higher self talking to me like, this, what you see is not what's continuing on. You're breaking the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Not marrying an alcoholic, not having alcoholism in my family, not carrying it on through, like,
Yeah.
are these generations now,
Mm-hmm.
and just lots of other things.
Yeah.
And so,
No, I agree. Totally agree.
so yeah.
Yeah.
So today I actually had a reading,
Mm-hmm.
and in the reading there was this flash that came through, and the reader that I was seeing, she said, "Do you have a sister?" I said, "Yes, I do." And does she do work similar like you? I said, "Yes, she does." And she's like, "I just got a flash, and you two are fated to be sisters in this lifetime." And I'm like, yep. And and she's like, "No, like, you were sisters before." She goes, "I just got a flash, and you were both nuns in the 1600. And so you're both like sisters,
Right.
and you're sisters in this lifetime." So I was just telling Shelly that earlier
Yeah.
before we hopped on
I think
here.
it's so cool.
Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, I could definitely see that. And then when I thought about doing good with my hands,
Yeah.
perhaps, I don't know, what kind of nuns were we?
Right.
Just saying.
know.
I don't know.
We don't
Maybe
know.
that came up for a reason. I'm like, oh
Mhm.
man, because I literally had a flash of like me like slapping somebody's
Right.
hands, So I'm like, oh geez,
Yeah. No,
and
totally.
again, nuns can be like a teacher. They
Mhm.
can be, assisting, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
It is very
So,
interesting. And so this is why we decided to talk about this, is
mhm,
because we wanted to just kind of give, again, we always want to give awareness to people.
mhm,
But at the same time, like, we just want to say that even though Bev had this reader today and had this flash and stuff, and it was so cool, we thought, okay, let's talk about some of, like, well, I did anyway, I don't know about Bev, but I was definitely recalling all of the ones that we've done, like, and
mhm,
all the things that have come through. And you know like even Bev said in the beginning, not all of them are um great lives.
rainbows and unicorns.
Exactly. Because I have experienced a couple recalls
Mhm,
that have not been good.
yeah.
And so, but in saying that,
Mhm,
it almost, like what Bev said, like it like, unless it's going to help heal you in this lifetime that you are in now.
of
Um,
clearing,
yes.
right? It's part of clearing that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And for myself, I remember this one particular one, and it totally makes sense to me, to this lifetime. It was
Mhm,
about being judged, right? And
mhm,
for who I was at that time.
yeah.
And back then they didn't understand people like Bev and I, or people that were
In tune.
yes.
Just like,
Yeah, we'll
mhm,
just say it that way, because like they didn't understand it, and it was scary to them. And so they would judge or shun, or even murder or kill. And
yep.
in the one recall that I'm talking about, I was actually shackled. Like, I was shackled and I was put into a lake or something, like a big body of water, and
Mhm,
I was being drowned. And so it just resonated with me this lifetime, because for the longest time I felt that feeling of always being judged,
mhm,
always feeling I don't know, it just was there, and that feeling of that. So it just really resonated with me. But now, after knowing that and going through that, I'm now to the point where, like, I care, but I don't care. I don't care at this point. You're going to either
mhm,
love me or you're going to hate me, and it doesn't matter. You're going to look at me the way you're going to look at me,
mhm.
So that's what I wanted to bring up was when Bev said, you know, like not necessarily everything is good, but at the same time, like it can be for healing purposes. And so that one was for me. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
I would say on the judgment piece, in all the recalls I've had, I've been gifted. I was a gifted person, very, very gifted. And I was judged for that. And I was also persecuted, executed, all the things for it. And those are the ones that I know in this lifetime, probably because of the work that I am doing and the way that I am in this lifetime.
Right.
So those are definitely the ones that are in my knowing. And that is something that I've worked through, is that judgment piece of, you know, it took me like probably, I want to say 4 years ago that I finally put that I was a psychic medium on my business cards, or that I put it on my website. It was just like, but, you know, or maybe it was 5 years ago. I don't even know how long it's been now, but for me, that was it was the same thing. I'd be like, oh, I do this, and then I would make my business the last thing I talked about. What do you do? Oh, and I just say it really quietly. And now I'm just like, I don't care. I just know if you're not in alignment with me, you're not in alignment with me. If you don't understand who I am or what I do or any of that, that's okay.
Right.
I'm okay with that. I take nothing personal. It's just like, that's just your frequency. You're at that station and I'm at this station, and that's okay. It's like living in a different country. You live in that country, I live in this country. We're not close enough to be friends. That's okay. You know,
and
like,
there's nothing wrong with that. Exactly.
no. And it's just, it's fine. And you know what? I also look at everybody else, and it's like, everybody's just having their journey, and, you know, everybody's working through something. And I'm glad that I'm at that place of not worrying about being judged for who I am and what I do. And for you saying like you care and you don't care, for me, I don't care. I know in myself, I know me, and I know what I need to do. And so for me, I'm just like, I kind of feel like just kind of like, I don't know, they'll just move to the side. Like they're not, it's not affecting me. I'm not going to allow it to come in and affect me in my journey.
Yeah, exactly. No,
because
and
I know I
agree.
have work I have to carry out.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And for myself, like I've only just started not caring, you know, like feeling that judgment or whatever in the last like maybe 2 years. Like it has only been very recent for me. And I don't know. I just feel like I'm just still very embracing, and just I think a lot of the reason why I still say like I care but I don't care, I think it's just because a lot of times it's about me, it's not about them. So you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. And then that's what it is, right? But and everybody might face something like that, and also at different times, just
for sure.
Mine was at a different time. I had to work through it. I did. Now I'm at this place where I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I got work to do. That's how I look at it. I'm just like, I don't have time for that. I have work to do. So that's what I need to focus on. I need to help humanity. So
yeah, exactly.
I've got things to do. So yeah, it's been, judgment is something that has also come up for me. Some of the, recalls that I've had in this lifetime, one of them was, a fear of going to the dentist.
Oh.
And so what I want to say to anybody out there, if you do, you can access your own past lives.
Yeah.
So if there's certain ones that you need to know about, you need to see and assess and look at and move, at any time you can just ask your team to just show you a past life that you need to know.
Yeah.
They will show you. And you know what? It might even be showing up in your dream already, if we call it your dreamland time. It can show up there as well. So, however, going back to the dentist thing, I went to the dentist, go to the dentist, don't like it. Literally every time I can go and it's fine. But as soon as I walk in the room to the chair, it's like, I'm done for. That's literally how I felt. And so this knowing that I had one day, it just was like clicked for me. It was like, I don't know why I'm so afraid of going to the dentist. Like, why is it every time I walk into that room, I'm so triggered? So that night, I remember just asking my team, like, hey, are you guys, if you guys are able to show me why I have a fear of going to the dentist at this point, that'd be super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. And I want to say maybe it was like I don't know, a couple weeks, a week or two later, it was shown to me. And I'll never forget it. It's like stuck in my memory. It's like they brought it forward. I
Right.
have it. And so in one lifetime that I had, I was gifted. And I'm sure a lot of you, maybe this will even resonate with you, but I was put into like one of those facilities. I was going to call it something that's not very nice.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Terminology wise.
Yeah.
I was in a facility, brick building. They showed me the outside and the windows and long like hallways, kind of cold feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed me that building. Then I was inside. And then I was in my body. So it was like I got the outside view they showed me.
Yeah.
Then I was like inside the building. Now I'm actually in my body. Like now I'm in it.
Right.
And then I was also like kind of restricted
Mm-hmm.
in my arms and stuff. And I had a person on each side of me, like kind of taking me.
Right.
And they took me downstairs. I was in the basement. Also, probably makes sense of why I don't like basements.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, oh my gosh, also explains that feeling. Because as soon as we started going into the basement, I was like, oh my gosh, this is familiar to me
Yeah.
in this lifetime because
Right.
I was aware.
Exactly.
And so go into this basement, it's colder, darker, don't
Mhm.
like it. Just little lights on the side. So when I think of like if you've ever seen the movie Green Mile,
Yeah.
okay, that's what it kind of reminds me of. Like that
Right.
time,
Yeah.
the little lights on the outside,
Mhm.
cold, not a jail, but
I know, but that's what I pictured. As
feel
soon
like
as you
it.
even talked about it, I could
Mhm.
see it. It was like, oh, I know where you're going.
You know exactly, right? So I'm just trying to like make the visualization for everybody.
Yeah.
And so they take me down, going halfway down the hallway, and we get to this door. They open the door, and as soon as I faced the room, it was all that was in this room. No windows or anything. There was
Chair.
one chair in the middle of the room with a metal tray right beside it
Mhm.
with all these tools. And then they took me to the chair. I sat down and I could feel them working on my head.
Yeah.
Then that was it. Boom, I was out. And I went, okay. So now I know it's not a fear that I have in this lifetime. It's just when I see the chair with the tray, it triggers that.
Yeah.
Like, why do I have this?
Mhm.
So now it doesn't affect me actually. I can go to the dentist and I'm like, I can walk in and be like, yeah, this isn't this life. That isn't in this lifetime.
Right.
I'm just here for the dentist. They're working in my mouth. They're not working on my brain. They're not going
Right.
to take away my gifts. They're not going to like do whatever they're going to do to
Yeah.
me. So that was really interesting for me. That was an
Mhm.
experience that I had that helped me in this lifetime and using the method of just asking my team to bring it forward. And it was.
Yeah.
So super grateful for that. So
Mhm.
could
Yeah.
definitely do that too.
Oh, for sure. And like there are some times where you know, you don't even realize you're actually having a recall. Sometimes they will show you, you know, your team will
Mhm.
show you because they think that you need to know something out of that or show you something out of that.
Yeah.
And I've had many of those.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, many of those where you're kind of like, huh.
Mhm.
Well, for me anyway, 'cause, you know,
Yeah.
who I am, but anyway, but yeah,
Mhm.
there's been times where I have been shown stuff and I'm like, oh my God, like I remember this one time I was in Egypt long
Mhm.
time ago, right?
Yeah.
And they showed me this cool, like I know I wasn't like, what's the girl named? Not the pharaoh. Like, what is she again? Cleopatra. I was like, what's her name? Anyway, I wasn't her, but like I was in that era, of that.
Yeah.
And I remember them showing me that I was in that era, and it was pretty cool. Like
Mm.
it was so neat because they were showing me like all these things and artifacts in it. Like it was so detailed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and what I was wearing, and I was wearing those, cloth, it was so cool. I was like, I remember waking up going, oh my God, that was the coolest thing I ever seen.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's like
it
you were
was.
there, right?
Yeah.
It's like you just had a trip and traveled there and experienced it in real time.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah.
really, really cool. But in saying that, so like, with recalls and things like that, I know we've kind of touched about it a little bit about how like, soul families, right? Like Bev said,
Mm-hmm.
like she got this lady who said there was a flash and we were sisters, like nuns, back in the 1600s.
Mm-hmm.
My knowing has always been where, we're all connected. It doesn't like in our soul family, I would should say, like Bev and I are related,
Mm-hmm.
but in the same sense, like, yes, we're sisters in this lifetime, but yes, we were sisters in that time that she's saying. But
Yeah.
there could have been times where Bev and I were friends. We could have been like the best of friends, or we could have been, a mother and daughter duo, or we could have
Mm-hmm.
been brother and sister. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be the same
The same sex either.
yeah, like it didn't have to
Yeah.
be like that,
We could have been
so
brothers.
exactly, and
Yeah.
so it's kind of cool how, with even past lives or recalls,
Yeah.
that we can be still connected. And that's what I think is so fascinating, because
Mm-hmm.
we can be something else to each other, even though, you know, like how it's just, it blows my mind. I really think it's fascinating.
Yeah. It
I
is.
just
It
love
is.
it.
I love it too. And I love hearing
Mm-hmm.
stories of these kids too that, are saying like, oh, my other mommy and daddy, and they talk
Yes.
about their other parents or
Yes.
because what they remember is a different mommy and daddy. And so
Correct.
their mommy and daddy in this lifetime is going to be maybe was their, say, aunt and uncle in a different life in that lifetime that
Exactly.
they remember their mommy and daddy.
Mhm.
Now they're going to be your mommy and daddy in this lifetime,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so it shows up differently, and your soul family is always together, and you might even be able to recognize who is all part of your soul family. And so
Mm-hmm.
maybe you have like that really good friend
Yeah.
that is like just feels like a sister to you,
Mm-hmm.
but you're just friends, like no
Right.
relation, no blood relation in
Mm-hmm.
this physical world,
Right.
but yet you're so connected to them
Yeah.
because you know what? Probably in the past life,
Mm-hmm.
you guys are probably like really close sisters, or you were a mother and daughter,
Yeah.
or something, a grandmother
Right.
something like that. And
Yeah.
so it's really cool just to I think it's cool for me to look at that in my life and the people that are in my life and the
Mm-hmm.
relationships that I have and be like, oh, and sometimes I actually can even just have that feeling of like, pretty sure we were this and this in a different life. And like I even know for my husband and I, we've been in many lifetimes together. Many lifetimes we've never been able to be together. Because I actually know that I didn't do nice things to him in many lifetimes. So, but this lifetime we actually got to be together. Well, it started at the beginning. We were apart. We found each other. We came back, and we finally were meant to be together again in this lifetime. So I just absolutely love that. But
Mm-hmm.
I definitely know I have jailed him. I know we have been in cells next to each other, not been able to be together. I already had through Simpson Protocol, a session that I offer as well within hypnotherapy. Um, we can do I can do a past life recall within it. And that is something that I had experienced and was awesome. And it was related to a past life recall that was already shown to me in this lifetime that I didn't it was almost like I got the extra piece of the puzzle to it when I did that
Okay.
past life recall. So in this lifetime, I was one of those people that like, I don't like my blinds open at nighttime.
Oh, you're
Bugs me.
sorry.
My sister
Sorry.
knows this.
I'm sorry. And it doesn't bug me at all, but I know
Yeah.
it bugs people. Like
It
yeah.
bugged me. I'd be like closing all the blinds, right? My
Yeah.
husband would be like, what are you doing? Opens. I'm like, no, close it. You know, he's like, he's like, nobody's watching you. I'm like, I don't care. I have this feeling. It's a feeling. It's not even a conscious thing. It's a feeling. I have this feeling people are watching me. And he goes, nobody cares what you're doing. It's like, doesn't matter. And I'm like, you're probably right. I don't imagine all my neighbors are watching me every night. What's Bev doing? You know,
Right.
I know that logically, I know this. However, that's what I said, but it's just this feeling. It's just a weird, it's just like you feel like you're being watched.
Yes.
Anyway, so I asked Spirit, can you please show me why I have this feeling? And they did. That was also shown to me. And what they showed me was a glimpse. So it was just a piece of it, just like the dentist thing. So with this one, they showed me a forest. They showed me there was this little house in the forest. And I knew I was gifted. And I could feel when it got dark, the village people were watching me. That's all I got. And I was like, oh, I was being watched in the night. No wonder I have this weird feeling.
Yeah.
Then when I did this past life recall within my Simpson protocol session, my soul regression, oh man, it was really cool. Once I regressed, got there, it literally took me to the time, that specific time that is actually linked to this path, to this life that I'm in now, which makes sense because I'm experiencing this.
Right.
And this was to help me. And so immediately I could see myself. I knew exactly what I looked like. I knew how old I was. I knew what time frame it was. I knew what I was wearing. And I knew I was extremely gifted, but I knew I couldn't talk about it. That's all I said to the therapist. I just said, I am so gifted. And I was like, I didn't even want to elaborate because I had a knowing in that life that this was something I couldn't talk about.
Right.
And then it took me, even because I do these sessions, I know what the prompts are. So I understand what is happening now. At the time I didn't. And they ask the questions, you know, when you're in that recall, like, is there anybody else there with you? Are you inside? Are you outside? That sort of stuff. And yeah, I was outside. Yes, there was somebody that was with me. It was my husband. And boom, I see this man. I know he's my husband in that lifetime. However, we prompt and ask, is this person connected to anybody in this lifetime for you? And they showed me a direct line from this man who was like dark hair, big and burly, like and literally like a lumberjack,
right.
You know, kind of vision, right? And they showed me this line that goes to my husband in this lifetime. So they showed me both of them, and I could see this link, and it was like, this person's this person. And I was like, yes, I do know this person. It's my husband in this life. And then it was like everything unfolded. It was like the whole story unfolded. And so long story shortened is that me and my husband this lifetime, or in that lifetime, I was extremely gifted. We lived in a village. People didn't understand what I was like. They didn't like me. We moved into the like forest area. We had a little hut. It was like a little house. And we got married. It showed us saying our vows. We were outside. It was just him and I. There was nobody else that was a witness to us. I was 19 years old. And so it's the coolest thing is, not that was cool, but it's cool and some things in this lifetime. But so in the night, they showed me how people were watching me.
Mhm.
They were watching us. So they would come out in the nighttime so that we didn't see them. And they would just watch what I was doing, like, because they didn't understand me.
Mhm.
And so from there, one evening, they actually came in and captured me. And as soon as that happened, as I'm laying on the table in my regression, I felt rope imprint restraining me around my arms, around my waist. It felt like my waist cinched in, like something was restricting me. It's almost like I could literally see the ropes around me. So they captured me. And then from there, they killed me outside. And that was it. So how it relates to also in this lifetime is that it was interesting because in this lifetime, my husband and I, ever since we've been together, my husband has always worked away, always worked out of town. And whenever he would leave for work, even though I consciously know he goes away to work, he's going to come back, this is the lifestyle, this is what we do. I had all that knowing, but there was this feeling every time my husband left, it was hard for me. Like I felt like I was being ripped away. Like it
Mhm.
just felt like I was taken away. He was taken away from me.
Yeah.
And I understand in that life because they had taken me against my will and away from him.
Mhm.
And that was the end. So when this whole session ended, I'll tell you, my husband was still working out of town. And after that session was done and moving forward, it didn't bother me that he was away.
Right.
I didn't have that feeling anymore of like feeling like so ripped away.
Mhm.
But for my husband, he still experiences that. I need you. I want to be home.
Yeah.
I want to be close to you. Like, because that wasn't healed for him.
Right.
Because I also was ripped away from him.
Right. Of course.
So we experienced the same thing, but mine was healed and his wasn't. And I could see how it just totally changed since then.
Mhm.
It was so cool.
Yeah, that is.
It was like
That's
one of those moments of like,
yeah.
wow.
Well,
So
and
I've had, yeah. So it was
yeah.
just cool to see how they showed me that at the
Mhm.
beginning. And then when I went into this regression,
Yeah.
it was literally the whole story.
Right. Yeah.
It was
So cool.
amazing.
And this is why I love this. Like, I'm not trying to make everybody go out there and go get regression work.
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
saying that it is really cool because, like, it brings back for me.
Yeah.
I used to have so I don't know how to explain this, but I used to have a recurring dream all the
Mhm.
time.
That's right.
So that's another thing I want to bring up is because
Yeah.
this is what they're telling me to say was that I used to have a recurring dream about me being in a submarine
Mm-hmm.
and we were in the water and literally in like every time I had this reoccurring dream, I'm in the
Yeah.
submarine and all of a sudden it is filling up with water and
Yeah.
we are about to die.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember trying to get out. I remember, and like in my dream, my husband now was in my dream, but at that time I feel like he was, I don't really remember it now because I'll explain why. But anyway,
Yeah.
but in my dream that would recur all the time was like the water, like, but it was funny because like I never could tell where the water was coming from. It just was always filling up.
It was there.
It
Yeah.
was just there. And it was filling up, filling up, filling up. And I remember trying to escape out
Mhm.
of the submarine. I
Mhm.
remember me floating around because it was kind of weird, the submarine. It almost like it was massive. Like it was so big and it was almost like there was different sections of the submarine because there
Mhm.
was like some doors, right? And I
Yeah.
remember trying to get through, but like I was floating with the water. Like I was trying to swim with the water while the water was rising and rising up to the top. And I
Right.
remember gasping because I'm like feeling like and it's funny because like most of my dreams are about water.
Yeah. I was going to say a lot of your past stuff is water related.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And this one was over and over and over. And like I'd wake up like just distraught because I would never make it out. Like I
Mhm.
would never make it out of the submarine. And I remember grabbing people, like it felt like I was always having to save someone or take someone or bring someone with
Yeah.
me all the time. So
Yeah.
anyway, it would just keep going on, and it was never like, not every day. Like it would just be, oh, here's that dream again, like,
That's right. Just keep
that,
showing up.
yeah, it would just keep
Yeah.
showing up. Then fast forward, a few years back, Bev and I decided to do this new cool modality this lady did. And it was wax pouring.
Ukrainian wax pouring.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it was the coolest experience. Bev had it done, and she was like, "Oh my God, Shelly, you have to come and do this. This lady is
Get down
amazing."
here.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I do that a lot
do.
to her.
Yeah, she does. And so I was like, okay, this is so cool. I'm coming. And I went and we had this lady come to Bev's house. And so she does this wax pouring for me.
Mhm.
And it was so cool, because this is why I'm bringing this up, is because in my wax pouring, she goes, "Oh my God." She's like, "You were a part of Atlantis. Look at this." She shows me, and I used to have photos of it, but my sister was like, "You should get rid of those because you're still holding on to the attachment," which
That's
is
right. And that
true,
was part of the clearing.
right? And so,
Yeah.
so anyway, in this wax pouring that she did, she goes, "See right here." She goes, "You were a part of Atlantis, and you were part of this, like, you were underground, you lived in the water, and something happened to Atlantis. You were part of that, because like the myth is, there was Atlantis and there is no longer."
Mhm.
And so she said, "You were a part of this, and look at this," she says, and she shows me this like figure
Mhm.
curled over, and she's literally holding another child. And she was like, "You were trying to save your baby and yourself to get out of this
Being drowned,
being
basically.
drowned." And I was like, just
Yeah.
like, and
Oh my
so
God.
right away my recall came back. And that's when I went, "Oh my God." I'm like,
They're linked.
they're linked. And they
Yeah.
totally made sense. And I was just blown away. And after that, I have not had that
That
dream
dream.
again. Like, I
Yeah.
remember it, but it's
Yeah.
never come back. I've never had it reoccurring. It's never done
Mhm.
anything. And it was just like, it was amazing, because it was like, oh, that makes sense. Like,
Mhm.
and it was just amazing, because I was like, "The part of Atlantis is gonna start to go."
It's
But
awesome.
it made sense with the
Yeah.
water, right?
Yeah, of
Because I was
course.
just so, but it also, like, even just that recall or whatever,
Mhm.
but it also made me go back to, like, when I was shackled and being drowned. I still
Yeah.
have water, fears, and I know that's part of it,
Yeah.
so it's just neat how it just
But
all
yet
connects.
you love water.
I do.
I know, like you love water, you love going on
Yeah,
cruises, like
I
you do
do.
the things.
Yeah,
And
but
so it's definitely like a learning, it's a healing thing for you,
it
having
is.
positive experiences with water
Right.
this
I will
lifetime.
say though, however, there is one thing that I
Mhm.
think is part of that connection, like when you said about cruises. Like,
Mhm.
I do remember saying to myself, like, especially in the night, like, it's
Mhm.
pitch black out there in the ocean, like pitch
Yeah. No
black.
thanks.
I have to
That's
tell
not for
myself,
me.
I know, but I have to tell myself, like,
Yeah.
that it's okay. Like, nothing is going to happen, like it, like, but like, because I can go
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole of like, oh my God, you know how deep this thing is, you know how black that is, like I can't look over the
Mhm.
water, like in the dark, so there is still a little bit of a
Yeah, that's okay.
fear, but at
Yeah.
the same time, but yeah, I do love the water. I love being near it. I love listening to it. I love everything about it. Yeah, it's
The
just
other thing I
amazing.
would say is that could be a legit like
Fear,
concern in this human world.
that's what I
I'm
mean.
fear, but that
But
could be a legit concern of like it's pitch black.
black.
Like I don't
Mhm.
want to go over the edge.
Yeah, I think it's a rational thought. Like, I don't believe
Yeah.
that it could be, maybe, well, maybe it could
If it
be,
was a
maybe there
fear,
was,
it would stop you, but I feel like it's just
yeah, that's true.
something that's a rational, like logical
logical thought.
thing, I feel, but maybe this is just us telling us that that's okay. I don't know. Maybe other people will analyze this too and be like,
Right?
you know what?
Yeah.
I feel it's this.
Yeah.
You're just
Exactly.
lying to yourself. Sure, that's fine. No, we're good at that. No, I'm just kidding. Just
But yeah, no, so
Yeah.
I just think
there's just so many.
there is.
I even as a child, I remember having this reoccurring dream that I was being chased. I'm sure so many people have had something similar. And I was
Yes.
always chased. It was the same damn dream. And I would get to the top of the building. I'm sure Shelly might even remember me screaming, and we had bunk beds, everybody. That it'd be like, I get to the edge and then I'd be falling. I gotta wake up. I never hit the ground. Apparently, if you hit the ground, you're gonna die.
That's what they say, but
That's what they say.
don't know about that.
I feel like you just don't need to relive the death.
Right.
Like, I'm sure I died. I don't know how I could have survived.
But who wants to relive death?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel that this is why I'm falling and
Yeah.
I'm not going to hit the ground in the dream. I already did that. But it's this being chased. And again, I feel it was probably because maybe I did something really bad. Maybe I was gifted and they're chasing me.
That's right.
They're trying to get me anyway. I don't know.
Exactly.
Could be many things.
Yeah.
And I have been followed home. I have been followed home when I was like, oh gosh, 14, I think I want to say.
Yes.
I was followed home. I wasn't chased and running.
No.
But that feeling definitely came back.
Yes.
But that was a magical moment. No, being chased or whatever.
No,
being
but
followed
like
by this guy,
releasing
but like,
that. Yeah.
yeah, and just like everything that happened, it was
Yeah.
so cool, you guys.
I know.
I was just, yeah, it was so cool. We should definitely share those kind of dreams. Or not dreams. Wow, I'm talking dreams.
No,
now.
I know, but we can. I mean,
experiences.
like, experiences, but like at the same
I
time,
have lots of experiences of like protection and angelic work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you know, Shelly was actually on she joined my class last night.
Yeah.
With my mentorship group, which is more of my advanced group. And she was a guest, and I can't remember what we were talking about. Oh man.
What do you mean?
I lost it.
Well, we were talking about like how, we can, on a physical, we can, I don't know. They were just reading me.
What it was.
Yeah.
It was how they were saying the yellow around you.
Right.
And then you explained how protected you are, and which
Yes.
I've had that in many readings too, like you're highly, highly protected. And I'm like, yes, thank you. I know.
Thank God.
That's why I was going there. And so, yes, we should talk about how we are protected and some experiences that we've had. Maybe it'll make you a believer.
Yeah.
I mean, to our listeners,
yes,
I'm a believer.
Of course. I know I am.
I'm like, I'm a believer. I don't need to convince myself, but maybe, this is something we'll share with you guys, because some really, really cool experiences that I've had.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
yes.
Anyway, that was what I wanted to share on past life recall experiences.
Yeah, we thought it would be fun because, like I said, we do have a bunch of them. And, when Bev mentioned about the flash today, I thought, hey, that'd be something fun to share. So hopefully you guys all enjoyed.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed our story time today. And if you have any past lives that you want to share, or you have questions or whatever, please reach out to us.
Yes.
Empath Sisters. We're on Facebook.
Yes, we're on Facebook, Instagram.
Like, I don't even know, but you can reach us somehow. Terrible. This is terrible.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we are, but I know we're on Instagram.
We're on Facebook, Instagram,
YouTube.
We're on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
email
comment,
us.
Message us.
Yeah.
All the things.
Yeah.
You can do this if you'd like. No pressure, but be super cool. And maybe if you'd like to share your past life experience, let us know. We can bring you on if you'd like, and we can chat about them.
Yeah.
That'd be super. My new word I think I told you this.
You
My new
said
word is
rad.
rad.
Yeah.
I just was gonna say, I don't know what is happening. I think I hopped back onto the 80s timeline or something, but I'm just like, that's so rad. Like, it's just my new word, everybody. So we'll see how long that will last and when that will shift out, or maybe this
Yeah.
is a new guide that has stepped in and this is the language and the lingo, and we're going with it's pretty rad. Yeah.
Pretty
Cool.
rad. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in with the Empath Sisters today. We
Yeah.
so appreciate you, and we look forward to sharing some of our upcoming events that Shelly and I are going to be having, and yeah, and other things. Yeah, all
Yeah.
the good stuff. So
Yeah.
you all take good care. We're sending you lots of love and light and
Yeah.
gratitude wherever this may find you today.
Yes.
Take care,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody. Take care.